explain two unethical practices that a business could engage in, which could violate its contractual obligations to the government and society. So a business can withhold taxes from the government, and they can pollute the environment by because they don't dispose of their waste properly. So poor disposal of waste, right, or pollution. So withholding taxes. So when a business withholds taxes from the government, it means that the government tax revenues would significantly decrease. This would then have an effect on the economic development because the government uses its taxes to develop the economy. So the government would build schools, would build hospitals, would build training facilities, as well as provide grants for the disabled citizens, etc. So society would be negatively impacted because the government may lack sufficient resources to provide basic needs for citizens, such as proper healthcare services and other social services. Then we have pollution due to poor disposal of waste, etc. So we have poor disposal of waste. It can result in an unhealthy living environment, which can lead to illnesses among members in the population. So as a result of the illnesses, there may be increased demands for the government to provide more resources for healthcare services. In a scenario like this, the government may not be able to be in the financial position to readily supply the resources due to low tax revenues. This would consequently result in a low economic development. Okay, so I can expand on this and explain why it will contribute to low economic development. So let's say because of pollution due to poor disposal of waste, we have an unhealthy living environment. So it means that the population would be ill. So the population would be unhealthy. The government would not be able to supply the resources to the healthcare based on the demand. This would mean that there would be less employable citizens, so less citizens that would be healthy or skillful enough to be employed. So this can lead to low economic development because the government taxes will now be significantly reduced because of great amount of the population is ill. So it means that they will not be able to be employed. So this would have an effect on the taxes that the government receive because these citizens, they are not employable because they're ill, and the government would not be receiving taxes from these citizens. So it means that the government will now be receiving let's say a low level of tax revenues from its population. So this can consequently result in low economic development because of low tax revenues, as well as, let's say that the government budgeted a certain amount of money for hospitals and schools, etc. Because of the demands for healthcare services, the government may have to make a drastic decision to cut back on in other areas where they have already allocated money for. So let's say they decided to build schools, whatever, from up front. So in the budget, they decided that they're going to build schools, that they're going to do training, etc. Then they will have to cut back on these and put it towards the healthcare services. But this can also lead to low economic development as well. All right, so let's move on to the next question. Find each of the following terms. So we have production, which refers to the use of raw materials to make goods and services. And then we have productivity. So productivity measures efficiency, right? So it refers to how efficient goods and services are made. This measures the efficient use of all the input, which would be the machinery, the capital, the labor, to create products and services, which would be the outcome or the output, right? So productivity equals the quantity of output out of the quantity of input. So it measures the efficient use of all the inputs to create products and services. Let's move on to the next question. Identify the type of production that takes place for each of the following activities. So they gave us sugarcane harvesting, development of townhouses, the creation of a new line of furniture, and the provision of online banking. So sugarcane is extractive production because you're taking raw materials, so it's natural resources that you're taking from the earth. And then you have development of townhouses, which is the construction or secondary production. This is where you're using raw materials and turning them into goods. Also, we have the creation of a new line of furniture. This is manufacturing, which is also secondary production, which is turning raw materials into finished goods. And then we have the provision of online banking, which deals with services, right? So it's services production, so it's tertiary production. All right, let's move on to the next question. Name 3 factors that could affect labor productivity. So we have the availability of raw materials, the use of technology, and the lack of motivation. So let's look at the availability of materials. So if a business is lacking raw materials or resources to conduct its daily operations, this can significantly decrease labor productivity as the employees cannot produce or conduct services beyond the resources available to them. All right, so if you're running a business, let's say a photocopying business, and you run out of paper, then you cannot provide that service. All right, so that means that productivity would decrease. So labor productivity would decrease. So let's look at the use of technology. So the use of technology for daily operations can significantly increase labor productivity because it increases the production of goods and it also improves the quality of services. So technology enables employees to improve efficiency, which results in the production of goods in less time. So we have more goods also being produced. We have the quality of goods and services increasing, and then we have an increased productivity level. All right, so we have a lack of motivation. Lack of motivation is also a factor that can affect labor productivity. So if you have a lack of motivation or a delinquent attitude, this can significantly decrease labor productivity because the employees would waste time as well as resources. So if they lack motivation, they usually not focus. So they may waste the raw materials or even utilize it for their own personal goals, right? So this would negatively impact the production rate and also result in low productivity levels. All right, so let's move on to the next question. Explain 2 strategies that management could implement to ensure high levels of productivity within an organization. So I listed 3 here. So we have motivation, training and developmental programs, and the use of technology. So managers can reward employees with financial benefits such as wage increases. So I spoke about this earlier on, about wage increases, which can lead to increased productivity because it triggers employees to expand more effort into doing good work. so that they can continue to reap the benefits of working for this particular organization, right? So when employees feel valued, they will be more willing to work and their attitudes will improve, and this results in higher levels of productivity. All right, so then we have training and developmental programs. So managers should ensure that the employees are equipped with the skills necessary to perform their respective duties effectively. And when the employees are competent, they tend to make less mistakes and they work more efficiently. So then this would ensure high levels of productivity. So when we have less mistakes being made, the employees are fully competent, then we have high levels of productivity. Then we have the use of technology, right? So we know that the use of technology can help to ensure high levels of productivity because the use of machinery enables more goods and services to be produced, and it enables employees to produce more in less time. This also affords them the opportunity to multitask to get other things done. And, you know, this eventually increases the levels of productivity. So it ensures high levels of productivity within an organization. Let's move on to the next question. The term market as it relates to marketing. So we know that a market refers to any space where goods and services are exchanged. So we have the shops, we have online shopping, we have supermarkets, etc. Right? So a market refers to any space where goods and services are exchanged.